This is not a step any government takes lightly, but it's one we must take to ensure that no further irreparable harm is done to Alberta students as the result of the ongoing strike.
How do they feel about forever being tarnished in their own political legacies by being part of the first government in Alberta's history to override the Charter of Rights and Freedoms in advance?
We begin with the latest on the UCP government back-to-work legislation for teachers. The opposition made several procedural moves today and tonight to delay the passing of Bill 2. They forced several recorded votes, which required the bells to be rung to call MLAs to the House each time. Debate on second reading was limited to 1 hour between 8:20 and 9:20 tonight. Debate continues right now as the NDP introduces amendments. Good evening. The NDP's efforts to stall is likely only delaying the inevitable. The UCP plans to use its majority to push the bill through, possibly in the wee hours overnight. The bill uses the Charter of Rights notwithstanding clause to order 51,000 striking teachers back to work by Wednesday. The union and individual teachers could face fines if they don't comply. The legislation could lead to a general strike or other job action by other unions. The legislation gives teachers a 12% wage hike over 4 years, with a promise to hire 3,000 more teachers and 1,500 more educational assistants. It also establishes a task force to study class size and complexity. Kevin Green explains why the act is precedent-setting.
Premier Danielle Smith says the teacher strike has gone on long enough.
I know this has been an incredibly difficult start to the school year for students who've already experienced too many disruptions in their educational journeys. It has also been challenging for teachers who we all know want to be in the classroom doing what they love.
Those teachers are being ordered back to work. The government is using the notwithstanding clause to override teachers' right to collective bargaining.
The Premier often calls herself the most freedom-loving politician in Canada. And in the throne speech, we heard that she's making Alberta the freest jurisdiction in the country. You cannot do that while you're systematically stripping away people's rights. And sadly, that's what she's doing.
Additionally, there will be no mediation or arbitration. The province is imposing an agreement, the same agreement teachers rejected by almost 90% in September.
What you saw in there today was a travesty of our legislature. It's a travesty to our democracy. They're ramming through this bill in one evening so that they can put forward what they want to see. But they are not willing to have any further speculation around how to address the issues.
If they don't head back to work, teachers face stiff fines.
With penalties of up to $500 a day for individuals participating in a legal strike action and up to $500,000 a day for organizations.
This is only the second time the province has ever invoked the notwithstanding clause and the first to end a labor action, but it's something constitutional experts expect to see more of.
I expect to see the notwithstanding clause used in labor negotiations where provincial governments expect the right to strike to be used in a strategic way against them.
Teachers are expected to be back in class Wednesday, ready to pick up where they left off. Calgarians we spoke to oppose the province forcing an end to negotiations.
Forcing them to accept a contract that they know, the province knows is not potentially good is just a mistake, I think.
I think parents and grandparents should stand up and start marching on the legislature and bind together and say, okay, well, you know what, Mrs. Premier, if you don't listen to the teachers, how about you listen to the parents and the grandparents?
The Premier says she wants students back in class learning on Wednesday morning, but there is no provincial plan on how they'll make up that lost education time. The Education Minister says that's up to individual school boards. Well, they've just come through an election, and the Calgary Catholic Board has its first organizational meeting post-election on Wednesday. The Calgary Public School Board hasn't scheduled one yet. Kevin Green, CTV News, Calgary.
One Calgary teacher was at the legislature tonight, and he expressed his frustration by yelling from the chamber gallery. Here's what the grade 9 teacher had to say after leaving the building.
I yelled 4 statements: shame, ignorance, tomfoolery, and October 2027 cannot come soon enough. I'm very frustrated with what is happening. What is happening in the classroom cannot continue anymore. Doing things the proper way don't seem to be resonating with Premier Smith.
Premier Danielle Smith was not in the Assembly for tonight's votes. Her office says she is now on her way to Saudi Arabia and the United Arab Emirates to promote Alberta's energy industry at a number of meetings and events. Her trip runs until November 5th. The leader of Alberta's largest labour group says a province-wide general strike is actively under consideration. The head of the Alberta Federation of Labour says other unions are prepared to have an unprecedented response to unprecedented legislation. Gil McGowan is president of the AFL and chair of the Common Front, a group of even more unions. He says they will meet tomorrow morning to decide how to respond, with a news conference likely scheduled for Wednesday to announce measures to the public.
With these fines, the government is clearly trying to bully the teachers into compliance. They're trying to threaten them with bankruptcy as individuals. They're threatening the financial viability of the Alberta Teachers Association as an institution. But I just want to make it really clear that if the government puts a gun to the head of the teachers and they're not able to continue their strike, then we in the broader labor movement will stand where they're not able to.
The Alberta Federation of Labour represents 24 unions in the public and private sector. That includes 175,000 Alberta workers. The Common Front includes 400,000 workers. Meanwhile, some high school student groups tell CTV News they are planning walkouts in support of teachers once classes resume. Meteorologist Danielle Savonis here with our first look at the weather. Danielle, a lot of people watching the forecast carefully this week. Yeah. Halloween coming up, potentially going back to school this week as well. Right. A bit on the cool side at points.
Yeah, especially in the morning. So it's the layers thing that we need to really look at, especially for tomorrow, because tomorrow morning, with the wind chill, it will feel closer to about -5, -6 at 7, 8 a.m. So that's, you know, new for us, something our bodies have to adjust to a little bit. 9 degrees, though, is the high in the afternoon, so that's a couple degrees warmer than the daytime high we had today. Lots of sunshine expected for the day tomorrow. I have your Halloween forecast coming up.
Okay, thanks very much, Danielle. Emergency crews are on the scene of a crash involving a city bus and police vehicle in Forest Lawn. This is a live shot of the scene. Police say it happened at about 10:40 p.m. at 17th Avenue and 40th Street Southeast. EMS transported one police officer to hospital with minor injuries. EMS checked out bus passengers, but police don't believe anyone on the bus was hurt. This intersection is shut down right now as police investigate. Firefighters responded to a house fire in northeast Calgary tonight. It happened on Coral Springs Circle Northeast in a single-family home at about 7 o'clock. Crews extinguished the fire quickly and used fans to ventilate the home. There is no word on any injuries or the cause. A garage in northeast Calgary sustained significant damage from fire this morning. It started around 5:30 on Rundleson Way. No one was injured. The investigation into the cause continues. A recount of votes for the mayor's chair continues in the Big Four building. It began at 9:30 this morning. Sonia Sharp formally requested a recount because there are just 581 votes between her and current mayor-elect Jeremy Farkas. Any recount will have to be done before noon on Wednesday, but Sharp's team is preparing for the possibility of a judicial recount should it come to that. The new mayor and council will be sworn in Wednesday night. Organizers of the Forever Canadian petition will be dropping off boxes of signatures tomorrow. The forms are filled with names of Albertans who support remaining in Canada. The grassroots movement had just 90 days to collect under 300,000 signatures. Forever Canadian organizers will reveal their total tomorrow morning. Alberta's chief electoral officer would then have a month to certify the results. Food Banks Canada is warning of a growing crisis after releasing its 2025 hunger count. Visits to food banks have doubled since 2019. In Calgary, we're seeing a rise of employed people and retirees needing help. Tyler Barrow reports.
In 2019, the Calgary Food Bank would distribute 200 food hampers a day. Now it's doing 800.
We are seeing record increases in the number of individuals who are relying on food banks as a source of food for their families.
and it's being felt across the country. Food Banks Canada has released its 2025 hunger count. Monthly food bank visits have doubled since 2019. In Alberta, over 210,000 people visit the food bank each month, while nearly 76,000 are children. A growing number the Calgary Food Bank is seeing, seniors.
68% of senior citizens who use the Calgary Food Bank had never faced food insecurity prior to retirement.
73-year-old Dan LaPlante has never needed to use the food bank, but he knows the struggle many of his friends face on a fixed income with rising inflation.
When you're trying to budget and you see the prices go up, you got to look at where you're going to cut.
Students are also hungry. At Mount Royal University, the Student Association has doubled its weekly refill of its satellite food care cupboards this year to supply students with free groceries.
A student facing hunger is a student that is not able to focus on their academic work, that is not able to focus on their careers.
At U of C, students are also facing food insecurity, while many also battle a high youth unemployment rate of nearly 15%, according to Statistics Canada.
Students are struggling to find work, and then they don't have an income, so they're unable to afford a meal, so they will try to skip a meal.
Even for those employed, it's tough. The Calgary Food Bank found 27% of their clients work full-time.
But one can't help but think, this is not sustainable. We have seen increases in need for service across the board for 5 years.
Tyler Vero, CTV News, Calgary.
Despite recent job cuts, there is still optimism in the energy industry. Coming up, a look at several deals in the works and how they could affect the oil and gas landscape.
You're watching CTV News, Calgary.
Canada Border Services Agency officers have stopped a massive shipment of cocaine at the Coots border crossing. The CBSA says 77 kilograms of cocaine was found in a commercial truck when it crossed from the U.S. on September 25th. The estimated street value is $7 million. A 28-year-old truck driver from Calgary faces a number of charges. More than 204,000 Canadians are working in the energy industry, the majority in Alberta. Acquisitions, mergers, and downsizing are taking place frequently. But even job losses announced last week at ConocoPhillips aren't dampening the spirits of energy experts. As Tyson Fedor reports, a sense of optimism remains.
Canada's usually booming energy sector is shrinking. In September, the country counted 204,200 energy workers, but that was down about 500 jobs from August, according to Statistics Canada. And year over year, compared to 2024, employment in the sector was down nearly 5%, or about 10,500 jobs. But new pipelines could turn the tide.
Alberta or Saskatchewan has got good pipeline exposure and transportation exposure to east and west coast, then Canada's future is very bright.
But for now, the job losses appear to be piling up. Last week, U.S.-based ConocoPhillips announced it would be laying off staff in Calgary to be more efficient with the resources it has. 950 employees work for the company in Canada.
I've been in this industry, for 40 plus years, and I was with industry before I switched to academia in Australia in 2002. I have seen these cycles. So Conoco moving out is not necessarily a bad news for Canada. When one door closes, two doors opens.
The sector did see major growth last month in refining and pipelines with more than 11,000 jobs added. American company Sunoco is wrapping up a deal to buy Calgary-based Parkland for more than $12.5 billion Canadian this Friday.
I think initially there were some concerns that we're letting an American company come in and acquire possibly strategic assets of the Burnaby refinery and some of the gas stations that we have here. But there were commitments made by Sunoco in a way that they would maintain investment in the refinery and also maintain the headquarters and jobs in Calgary.
And amid a frosty relationship with the U.S., experts saying this deal will only help attract more international stakeholders seeking a piece of the energy pie in Canada.
A U.S. company is coming in and being able to purchase a Canadian company with a relatively smooth approval process. I think this bodes well for foreign investment.
Cenovus Energy's takeover of MEG Energy also appears poised to win shareholder approval later this week. Tyson Fedor, CTV News, Calgary.
Alberta's energy minister has not responded to our request for comment. While computer coding is all the rage, the ancient art of cursive is going through a resurgence and drawing a crowd in Calgary. The Western Canada Calligraphy Conference offers 4 days of hands-on workshops and demonstrations. Nearly 100 people from around the world are taking part. Several attendees are grateful, saying they are avoiding traveling to the United States, where the international conference takes place each year. Calligraphers say it's therapeutic to turn off technology.
It is so entraining. It's very relaxing. It's very calming. You create absolutely beautiful things that are really rooted in historical art forms.
Some artists have established successful careers instructing and creating designs for fashion labels, celebrities, and royalty. The conference runs until Thursday at Hotel Blackfoot. One local business is working to ensure children in need have a Halloween costume. The Astra Group has donated 150 costumes to Radiance Family Society, an organization dedicated to helping families fleeing domestic violence. Astra says most costumes are donated by their staff, but the general public pitches in too. It began this initiative 4 years ago after finding many parents struggling to afford day-to-day necessities.
And if we can make it easier by simply removing one of those decisions, give them something to help out a little bit, put smiles on the kids' faces and ensure they don't feel left out, it's incredibly rewarding.
We are so grateful at Radiance to have Astra Group providing us not only what we asked for, but well over and above. And all that means is we get to reach more kids.
Since its inception, Astra has donated 500 costumes to various charities. Well, it's cold tonight, and it's going to be a cold morning, too. Danielle Savoni is along next with her full Skywatch forecast as we take a live look outside. Stay with us.
Well, as we talked about last week, I'm sure you noticed the cool down that has gradually arrived here. So the 20 degrees we had on Friday, that's no longer. We got up to a high of 7 in the city today, 4 in Edmonton. Woo! Much cooler than last week. 13 degrees in Regina, 14 in Thunder Bay, 12 over in Halifax. Okay, it was a gusty day today, closer to 60 kilometers per hour, Pincher Creek, Lethbridge, and then closer to 40 in Medicine Hat, mid-40s for Calgary. Medicine Hat, Lethbridge, Brooks, Calgary, we're looking at wind gusts closer to 30 kilometers per hour tomorrow, so calmer winds, but still around that 50 mark for Pincher Creek, Crozes Pass, potentially even up to 60. So still windy in that corner there. Radar and satellite, we did have some pockets of rain that were pushing through parts of the south, very isolated, very quick, not amounting to a whole lot, and that's pretty much out of the way. It's starting to fizzle out and move off to the east as part of the system way up to the north. They're dealing with snow in Fort McMurray for tomorrow. And for us, we're getting all sunshine. Again, relatively calmer winds for tomorrow as well. So that's some good news for us. And then this next system that rolls into BC will impact us on Wednesday. So it's going to redevelop on this side of the Rockies. And you can see that up there, where they're going to be dealing with rain, freezing rain, and snow. And further to the south, really what we're looking at is a little bit of spillover into Pincher Creek, Crow's Pass. This is a look at Wednesday morning, as you can see. But outside of that, yeah, we'll get some cloud cover on Wednesday. A small chance of isolated showers for Calgary down to Lethbridge, for example, and then a good chance of rain areas east of the QE2 Wednesday afternoon, and it could be quite heavy as it pushes through. Okay, then Thursday things clear out. Longer range forecast looks like this. 9 degrees for tomorrow in the city. Lots of sunshine. Again, cool to start with that wind chill. We'll just feel about -5, -6 at 7, 8 in the morning. So cool morning, but in the afternoon, a couple degrees warmer tomorrow compared to today. By Wednesday, the clouds will increase. Small chance of an isolated shower in Calgary. Greater chance east of Calgary. High of 12 for Wednesday. And then fast forward to Halloween Friday. At this point, Friday looks much like the weather we just had for Monday. Mainly cloudy, a high of 7, small chance of an isolated shower. And of course, I will keep you posted as we get closer to Halloween.
Thank you very much, Danielle. The province says 20 people have been tested for avian flu after an outbreak at Butterfield Acres. 10 of those referred for testing are children. Earlier this month, there were 9 confirmed cases of avian flu in animals at the petting zoo just northwest of Calgary. Officials will not confirm how many birds have been culled. Butterfield Acres will remain closed until health officials deem it safe to reopen. Anyone who visited the farm between October 6th and 12th is asked to watch for symptoms of avian flu. Of the 20 people tested so far, 18 have come back negative. Results for the other 2 are pending. A new topical cream, recently approved by Health Canada, is bringing relief to Albertans struggling with eczema, including young children. The ointment, called Opsuzalura, is now approved for use in children as young as 2. The new treatment targets mild to moderate atopic dermatitis, also known as eczema, a chronic skin condition that can cause redness, dryness, and intense itching. A Calgary dermatologist helped lead a clinical trial of 350 patients across North America that showed significant improvement after just 8 weeks.
It creates a lot of excitement for patients, but also the parents, because they're also frustrated with the disease. Their child isn't sleeping. They're constantly itching. They have psychosocial or psychological impacts to the disease. So giving a new novel treatment that is highly effective is a huge step forward.
The Eczema Society of Canada says Alberta has a much higher than usual rate of eczema because of our dry climate that can worsen flare-ups. A new initiative is putting the spotlight on youth, racism, and immigration. Still to come, how a podcast is sharing stories and raising awareness.
Fly ball center field. Going back Varsho. He's got it.
World Series tonight, a back-and-forth battle in Los Angeles. It's in extra innings, and the Dodgers left the bases loaded in the 13th. It's now 5-5 in the top of the 16th inning. There was one moment of big concern for the Jays. Designated hitter George Springer was pulled from the game after fouling off a pitch in the 7th inning. Springer grabbed his right side after the swing, and medical staff came out. This game continues, but Game 4 is tomorrow night in LA. A local nonprofit group has produced a podcast series called Children of Immigration. It focuses on youth from across the country who've experienced racism. The show's producers say stories surrounding immigration typically deal with adult issues. But in the podcast, youth are sharing how they've experienced racism in person or through social media. The shows are made throughout the Calgary-based nonprofit Art and Creative Skills Collective. Participants hope their voices will make a difference.
You get to see so many different stories and so many different contributions to our society, and how one person can actually change that is by actually seeing the problem and learning from that and watching and knowing how to go about things. And I feel like this podcast is way too awesome for a community to actually go and see, and how we can help those too who are also experiencing racism.
Producers say the podcasts are getting good reviews, and they may do a second season. An update on our developing story tonight. The legislature bells are ringing again, calling the members for a vote. They are still debating the Back to School Act. Third reading procedures are underway right now. We'll have the latest on your Morning Calgary starting at 6 a.m. Thank you very much for joining us tonight.